A young Vietnamese girl is sound asleep in her home when a squad of American soldiers bursts in, shattering the peace.
This is the one, Sarge. She's the pretty one. Take the pretty one.
They attempt to drag her away, and Eriksson, a new recruit, stands frozen, unable to process the horror unfolding before him. The girl cries out for help, but her pleas are met with even harsher treatment. Helpless, she is ultimately taken away, and her devastated mother chases after them. Faced with armed soldiers, the mother can do nothing to stop them. Tearfully, she hands her daughter a coat, hoping it might shield her from the cold. Eriksson watches as his comrades drag the girl away, his feet glued to the ground. The sight of the desperate mother leaves him extremely ashamed. All he can do is stand there, paralyzed.
Sorry.
The overwhelming guilt jolts Eriksson awake from his slumber on a train in San Francisco. His attention is immediately caught by the sight of a bespectacled Asian-looking girl who looks just like the Vietnamese girl, his face reflecting a deep sense of guilt and unease. At once, his thoughts drift back to his time in Vietnam, where Eriksson is part of a platoon of American soldiers on patrol in the dense jungle, led by Lieutenant Riley. Still new to the unit, Eriksson follows closely behind, alert but uneasy. Lieutenant Riley declares that they would set up their base there.
Okay, Eriksson, set claymores on the left flank.
As a veteran with ample combat experience in Vietnam, Meserve assigns Eriksson and Hatcher to establish a guard post on a side trail. At that time, Vietnam mobilized the entire population as soldiers to counterattack the American military, and the underground is filled with secret tunnels. Hatcher pokes a spot with his rifle and finds it strangely hollow, suspecting it to be part of the Viet Cong tunnel system.
We could be standing right over their tunnels right now, couldn't we?
Suddenly, the sounds of mortar explosions rip through the air. The rest of the squad is overwhelmed with panic as they try to figure out the situation.
Fix that sound, Sergeant.
While calling for backup, Lieutenant Riley orders Meserve to investigate the source of the artillery fire, while commanding Eriksson and Hawthorne to set up a lookout post.
Set out security to the flanks, front and rear, but not too far. I don't want them getting separated from us. Yes, sir.
Assigned to guard the right flank, Eriksson moves cautiously towards the location. Right then, shots of gunfire explode in the air.
What the fuck is going on?
It turns out that a brash soldier in their squad is shooting, claiming to have seen a Vietnamese villager. His actions inadvertently expose their location to their nemesis, the Viet Cong, and chaos ensues in no time. The squad retreats and scrambles for cover as the mortar explosions close in on them. Meserve hurriedly tries to call for backup before making a run for it. However, the impact of the explosion sends Eriksson and Hawthorne flying into the air. Eriksson ends up getting stuck in a hole which is part of the Viet Cong tunnel system, while one of Hawthorne's arms is blown off. Viet Cong soldiers rush through the tunnel system, transporting weapons. Despite his best efforts, Eriksson finds himself trapped in the hole, unable to move. Taking cover under a tree, Meserve and Brown discuss the whereabouts of Eriksson and Hawthorne. Meserve cannot bear to abandon his subordinates and decides to go rescue them. In the meantime, a young Vietnamese soldier in the tunnel hears Eriksson's distressed cries for help, and a sinister thought arises in his mind. Discreetly, he then moves towards Eriksson with a knife. Amidst the chaos, Eriksson's desperate cries catch Meserve's attention.
Help me!
At the same time, the Viet Cong soldier in the tunnel is also closing in on his prey. Luckily for Eriksson, Meserve manages to pull him out right before the Viet Cong soldier attacks him. The duo then engage in a brief battle with a Viet Cong soldier ambushing them from a tree. After striking down their opponent, the trigger-happy Meserve raises his rifle and fires repeatedly at the young Vietnamese man from the tunnel, leaving Eriksson terrified. The next morning, the platoon retreats out of the jungle and decides to take a break outside a river village. Brown, who has served in Vietnam for several years with only 30 days left before returning to America, begins rambling about how terrible Vietnam is and warns Meserve not to stay there too long.
He's liable to end up wasted because he don't know nothing, and you and me liable to end up in peril because we don't care about nothing.
Before dismissing the squad, Meserve reminds them to stay alert.
Stay alert. Don't get lost.
Evidently suspicious of the seeming tranquilness of the village. In the village, Eriksson offers some Vietnamese children a bar of chocolate. In exchange for the treat, one of the children generously gives him a mango. However, the moment Eriksson reaches out, Meserve knocks the mango out of his hand, forbidding him from taking food from the Vietnamese.
Don't be eating one fucking thing these gooks give you.
Meserve warns him that anyone in the village could be a disguised Viet Cong.
You eat some chopped up razor blades or something they give you, some shaved up glass. What are you dead of?
Stupidity, man.
But Eriksson insists that they are just elderly folks and children. He doesn't want to be rude and prefers to treat them with respect. Finding his behavior foolish and amusing, Brown and Clark continue to mock him.
You know what I mean? Like, for example, you strangle some of their chickens, man, or you cop some of their rice, or you barbecue their fucking hooch. You say sorry about that.
Their conversation is interrupted by the sound of Meserve and Hill interrogating a local old man. Meserve is convinced that the man is one of the Viet Cong, despite the latter denying it repeatedly.
You BC! BC, no! Huh?
Momentarily relieved from the tension of war, Eriksson and Brown relax and fool around in the paddy field, unaware of the ominous fate awaiting them. Curious about Eriksson's background, Brown inquires about his family, and Eriksson tells the latter that he has a daughter. After hearing about the incident with the tunnel, Brown teases Eriksson about it.
Your ass is stuck in a rabbit hole like motherfucking Winnie the Pooh, right?
Warning him to be more careful next time. While the squad is immersed in conversation, the Viet Cong abruptly ambushes them, unleashing a barrage of gunfire in their direction relentlessly. Struck in the neck, Brown collapses to the ground, groaning in agony. Meserve struggles to cover up his wound, but blood flows out from it like a rapid stream.
Sarge, I'm in trouble, man.
Just then, a Viet Cong disguised as a villager quickly approaches from behind and hurls a bomb in their direction. Eriksson shoots the bomb just in time.
Oh my God, I hit it!
They finally manage to fend off the attackers, but the harrowing reality of the situation sinks in. A helicopter soon arrives, and Brown is rushed off to the hospital. Despite knowing the slim odds of Brown's survival, the squad tries their best to convince him otherwise.
You're fine! Hey,
I know it, man.
As the helicopter disappears into the distance, Meserve watches in silence. Brown's injury leaves the squad with no choice but to return to the base for reassignment. The Viet Cong ambush has sparked a deep hatred in Clark toward the villagers.
torch the fucking place.
The squad finally returns to base. They are ordered to go on patrol the next morning. Meserve, determined to seek relief in their brief downtime, plans to visit the village brothel, but not before he tells the squad that Brown succumbed to his injuries.
He's dead.
During their shower, Clark wears a vicious expression as he cusses about the village and the local people, blaming them for Brown's demise.
They're slugs, man. They're roaches. And total fucking destruction is the only way to deal with them, man.
At night, the squad is refused entry into a brothel as the village is declared off limits due to Viet Cong occupation. The squad's hatred for the Vietnamese reaches its peak.
Take it easy, man.
Meanwhile, Private Antonio Diaz arrives as the new radio operator to replace Brown. Driven by his anger, Meserve suggests kidnapping a Vietnamese girl for their own twisted amusement after briefing the squad on the next day's operations.
Because what we're gonna do is requisition ourselves a girl. It'll break up the boredom, keep up morale.
He attempts to justify the heinous act with a flimsy rationale. Eriksson looks at him in disbelief, assuming he must be joking. Before they depart, Eriksson expresses his profound unease to his friend, Rowan, who assures him that Meserve is only joking.
I mean, some broad in your pack. You see how nuts that sounds?
When night falls, the squad infiltrates a village under the cover of the darkness. After searching through a few houses, they stumble upon a decent-looking Vietnamese girl sleeping in her home and decide to pick her. Surprised that Meserve was serious about the matter, Eriksson can only watch on helplessly. His heart heavy with a sense of dread.
Oh, Jesus God.
Under the threat of guns, the villagers dare not defy the soldiers. Despite her mother and sister's desperate pleas, they seize the Vietnamese girl, Tran Thi O An, regardless. Guilt-ridden, Eriksson could only apologize profusely to Tran's family. As the squad treks through the mountains, the night turns to day. Eriksson confronts Meserve about his actions.
I thought you were kidding last night, Sarge. I was serious as a heart attack, you know that. This is kidnapping, ain't it, Sarge?
This infuriates the man, and he proceeds to punish Eriksson by ordering him to relieve Hatcher. However, Hatcher is filled with respect and admiration toward Meserve.
He's unbelievable. I mean, what we're doing. It's fantastic.
Disgusted by Hatcher's self-righteous view on the kidnapping, Eriksson gets into an argument with him. He believes that they should be helping the Vietnamese people instead of hurting innocent civilians.
It's the 20th century, man.
While Clark messes with Tran, Diaz discreetly expresses his reluctance to get involved in the matter to Eriksson.
Eriksson, if I don't want to mess with her, man, do I have to? No, man.
Right then, Hatcher claims to have spotted a Viet Cong soldier and opens fire recklessly. However, the suspect turns out to be a water buffalo instead.
Tom.
Having reprimanded him, Meserve returns to Tran to find her coughing. He feeds her an aspirin pill, an act that surprises Eriksson, who has been observing them quietly. A hint of confusion flashes across his eyes, and he carefully inquires about Meserve's plans with Tran.
Hey, Sarge, you gotta give me a minute here on this thing we're doing. What we're doing.
In response to Eriksson's doubts, Meserve tells him outwardly that they are going to have some fun with the girl when they arrive at their outpost. He claims that she is one of the Viet Cong.
She's a VC whore, and we're gonna have a little fun with her.
Eriksson confronts him, stating that Tran is just a farm girl. As soon as Eriksson opposes the idea, Meserve immediately questions his loyalty, deliberately sowing seeds of suspicion in the rest of the squad.
This is a VC. And you? Oh, you I don't know about.
During their trek up the mountain, Clark finds his backpack excessively heavy and abuses his authority as corporal in forcing Hatcher to carry it for him.
I'm a corporal, Hatcher. I'm giving you a direct order. You hump my ruck.
Eventually, however, it's Tran who ends up carrying the backpack barefoot through the snake-infested forest, all while enduring Clark's harassment along the way.
Hello, I love you. Won't you tell me your name?
Soon, the squad finds a small hut nestled in the mountains, and Meserve decides to use it as their command post. Eriksson and Diaz are ordered to stay in the hut and watch over Tran, while Meserve and the rest set off to scout the surrounding area. Once the rest of the squad is gone, Diaz begins to waver, pleading with Eriksson to support him in freeing Tran.
Oh, man, I ain't gonna nobody. Eriksson, you gotta back me up.
Glad to have found someone sharing his stance, Eriksson asks Diaz to back him up too.
You gotta back me too, okay?
As Tran cleans the hut, Eriksson offers her a drink of water, which she accepts eagerly. He lifts up her long hair for her convenience, only to discover a deep wound on her back. Sensing her distress, Eriksson gently comforts Tran.
It's okay. I'm not gonna hurt you.
And proceeds to help her clean the wound. Initially wary of him, the young woman gradually lets down her guard. While the squad is having a quiet moment outside the hut, Meserve notices that Eriksson is lost in thought. He tries to make small talk with the man in an attempt to reconcile with him. However, the atmosphere grows tense when Meserve ties up Tran's hands and demands Eriksson to join them in their atrocious plan.
You're taking your turn in here.
No, I ain't raping nobody.
To Meserve's dismay, Eriksson rejects him with resolute, insisting that there is no way he is going to participate in rape. Filled with rage, Meserve starts throwing a fit.
Motherfucker, you think you're standing up to me? Ah!
And even questions Eriksson's manhood.
Oh, what's the matter? Don't you like girls? Haven't you got a pair? Is that your problem?
Cornered by the squad, Eriksson shoots a glance at Diaz, beckoning the man to back him up. However, Diaz succumbs to the pressure and abandons his stance.
Rem, you got a problem with this, Diaz?
Hell no, Sarge.
Okay.
Leaving Eriksson alone in his opposition, Meserve tries his best to get Eriksson to take part, even making threats to his life, but he stands his ground nonetheless.
You're taking your turn in there.
No.
Pushed to his limits, Eriksson holds up his rifle and aims it at Meserve in self-defense.
Are you gonna take an attack posture with me?
The sergeant merely snickers in amusement and throws his own weapon at Eriksson, not intimidated in the slightest. Amidst their heated dispute, Meserve proceeds to force himself on Tran, the sounds of her distress echoing through the hut. Infuriated, Eriksson prepares to help her when Clark puts a knife to his throat and tells him to go on security for the night. At the same time, Hatcher keeps his gun pointed at Eriksson as he walks away to make sure he doesn't try anything. Eriksson sits on watch, helpless and horrified, as he witnesses his comrades take turns with Tran. After the men are done, they sit outside the hut as the rain is pouring, chatting casually as though nothing has happened. Meserve walks up to Eriksson in his raincoat and informs the man that Diaz will take his place at midnight, but Eriksson remains motionless with a blank expression. not uttering a single word. As though reading his mind, Meserve asks Eriksson if he likes the army.
You probably like the army, don't you, Eriksson? I hate the army.
Without waiting for an answer, he goes on to say that he hates the army. Meserve reasons that only by acting in a cruel manner can he survive in the military. But Eriksson responds,
This ain't the army.
At daybreak, the squad positions themselves near a railroad bridge, overlooking a Viet Cong supply depot. Eriksson and Hatcher return to the outpost to collect some more ammunition. Clark, eager to join the action, tells Eriksson to stay with Tran.
I'm going up there, man. Eriksson, you stay here.
While he goes off with Hatcher. Tran reacts strongly to Eriksson's approach. And only when he releases her does Eriksson realize the extent of her abuse.
Sorry.
Noticing Tran is still feverish, Eriksson gives her food and medicine. Meserve is furious when Clark and Hatcher arrive without Eriksson.
Does your head up your ass? You leave him alone with the girl? Are you nuts?
He tells him to get back to collect him and the girl. Eriksson is just about to leave the outpost with Tran and get her to safety when he realizes that it will make him a deserter. Seeing how desperate the girl is for him to go with her, he decides to go. However, Clark arrives to retrieve them before Eriksson can execute his plan. On the railway, the squad lies in ambush as Meserve calls for air support, preparing to attack the supply station. Realizing Tran's coughing could give them away, Meserve commands Eriksson to kill her.
Eriksson, waste bitch.
You're nuts.
When he refuses, Meserve orders Hatcher to do it, but he is reluctant as well.
No, I don't want to, Sarge. Come on.
Meserve has no choice but to force Diaz to act. Before Diaz can act, Eriksson fires his rifle into the air, exposing them to the Viet Cong.
You don't have to worry about a coffin anymore, Sarge!
The Viet Cong concentrate their fire on their position. In the ensuing firefight, Clark repeatedly stabs Tran, unbeknownst to Eriksson, who is occupied taking enemies out with his rifle. The situation escalates when the Viet Cong move mortars up the river and begin lobbing shells onto the bridge. Meserve manages to take them out with a machine gun. Tran, bleeding profusely from the stab wounds, drags her severely injured body toward home, a sight that even shocks the cruel Meserve, who stands with his mouth agape. Meserve yells at the squad to shoot her.
She's getting away! I stuck her more than twice!
Eriksson attempts to save her, but Meserve knocks him down. Helpless, Eriksson watches as the squad shoots Tran multiple times, sending her falling from the bridge. Meserve then leads his men away from the scene. Moments later, helicopters approach and fire missiles that destroy the Viet Cong riverboat. In the blast, a passing U.S. Navy boat catches fire, and the crewmen are killed. Witnessing the horror unfold before him, Eriksson slowly loses consciousness from the head injury dealt by Meserve. Eriksson awakens in a field hospital, transported there by helicopter. He confides in Rowan, recounting the horrific experience.
And they take this girl, they tie her up, they drag her out, and they fuck her and they killed her, man.
Overhearing their conversation, Clark confronts Eriksson and threatens him to keep his mouth sealed.
Hey, man, what happens in the field stays in the field, man.
Disturbed by Clark's threats, Rowan urges Eriksson to speak with Riley and Captain Hill, the commander. Riley merely gives him a long-winded lecture about the potential impact on the operational record of his unit, urging him to just let it go.
Be advised, you best just relax and try to forget about this thing. You can't expect anything different in the combat zone. Is that clear?
While the soldiers are out in the village, Eriksson continues lamenting about his regrets to Rowan for not being able to save Tran, with Cherry interrupting their conversation occasionally. Not long after Eriksson warns Cherry about roaming about,
I don't think you will see us later if you don't stop bopping around here like it's a goddamn playground.
the latter gets killed by a booby trap. The sudden tragedy seems to be a wake-up call for Eriksson. Determined to see justice done, Eriksson bypasses Riley and reports the matter directly to Captain Hill. However, Hill deals with the situation harshly,
This kind of thing can cause a major international incident. Are you aware of that?
berating Eriksson and warning him about pursuing the matter.
Now, the shit with that girl, that was wrong. But he's a kid, Eriksson. He's 20 goddamn years old. And you're gonna ruin his life.
According to Hill, the soldiers won't get much of a sentence if they are convicted. In fact, they could make life very difficult for Eriksson and his family when they are released.
Now, a man like you, wife, baby daughter,
I'd be considering those factors very carefully.
Moreover, Meserve once saved Eriksson's life. Despite that, Eriksson is determined to report the matter. Enraged by Eriksson's resolve, Hill decides to transfer him to a tunnel rat unit.
You're a tunnel rat. We get to the rear, you pack your trash.
That's not gonna keep me from trying to bring this thing out, sir.
While the other members of Meserve's squad are reassigned. Unaware that Eriksson has already informed the superiors, Clark tries to kill him with a grenade. Hatcher greets the unseen Clark.
Hey, Clarky.
And then runs away, arousing Eriksson's suspicion when he sees Hatcher standing at the bathroom door. Eriksson sees the grenade and jumps out of the latrine just before it explodes. Eriksson confronts Clark,
You sick son of a bitch.
striking him with a shovel. He then reminds Meserve that his life is inconsequential and that everyone already knows what they have done.
I told him, and they don't care.
Visibly shaken, Meserve dismisses Eriksson as insane and Eriksson walks away. Later, Eriksson confides in an army chaplain at a bar, revealing the atrocities he witnessed.
And the other four men raped her, and they murdered her. And I failed to stop them.
The chaplain reports the incident, prompting an investigation.
You couldn't let it rest, could you? You had to push it.
After Tran's body is discovered, the four perpetrators, Meserve, Clark, Hatcher, and Diaz, face a court-martial. Meserve receives a 10-year sentence of hard labor and a dishonorable discharge. Clark receives life imprisonment, while Hatcher and Diaz receive 15 and 8 years of hard labor respectively. As they exit the courtroom, Meserve leans over in Eriksson's ear and whispers something inaudible with a crazed look in his eyes. Captain Hill's words echo in his mind.
In fact, they're gonna be out of the stockade before you can flick flies off a shit, Eriksson. And if I was them, I'd be pissed off, wouldn't you? I'd be looking for a little payback!
As Eriksson awakens from his nightmare on the train in San Francisco. The Vietnamese woman who reminds him of Tran sits nearby. She disembarks at Dolores Park, forgetting her scarf, and Eriksson hurries to return it. As she thanks him and turns to leave, he speaks to her in Vietnamese. She hears his pain, guessing that she reminds him of someone.
You had a bad dream, didn't you?
Yes.
It's over now, I think.
And perhaps in another parallel universe, Tran is living happily like the girl before him. As they part ways, Eriksson finds a moment of peace, not regretting his actions despite all the troubles, and his lips curl up into a smile. The movie is based on true event, but in a way, I wish it wasn't.